Right, so here wanted to share a few words of wisdom from the Sharei Kedusha, the book of Holiness, um, the Gates of Holiness, and from Rabbi Chaim Vital, the student of the Arizal. Um, it's the part that speaks about hell. Everybody's always interested in that somehow. Um, what's going to happen after we die? What's the process? So here, in the second gate of I think it's the second chapter. Yes, second gate of second chapter. It speaks about, well, before it speaks about all the evil character traits that we have, and how we work. If we work on our character traits, then that's the path to become holy. Is the path to understand Kabbalah. Is the path to have prophecy and spiritual experiences. So the more you work on your character traits, the more you work also on doing what God wants, the commandments, on doing what you're supposed to. Every commandment is connected to a character trait anyway. If one does it the right way, understands the commandment, he understands that it'll help him fix the character trait, then he is safe, so to speak. The character traits are the main preparation and main work in this world. All your reward will be mostly dependent on character traits. But let's see what he says. So it says that once you die, there's 3 steps, 3 judgments, 3 different judgments, 3 main ones at least. It was said that when a man leaves this world, when the man leaves the world, the angel of death asks him. So first is the angel of death who comes to you right then when you die. Have you studied Torah? Have you given to charity? Did you crown your Lord God every morning and every evening? This is the Shema Israel that we say twice, one during the day and one at night. And it's accepting upon oneself that God is the ultimate King of the world, and really internalizing that message in our head and our heart and feeling it, believing it's real. And did you happily, now interesting, and did you happily crown your friend? So that's a bit of a surprise. Crown God and crown your friend, because understanding that everybody around you is a Tselem Elokim. Here it says your friend, so I'm not sure exactly what it means. Is not so precise, but we know that it says Koneh lecha chaver in Pirkei Avot, accept upon yourself a friend. A true friend is someone who comes to you and tell you what's wrong with you, in a loving way, of course, but he's not afraid to point your mistake and to tell you that you need to change. He rejoices in your success and he's sad in your mistakes. That's a real friend. Someone who challenges you and helps you grow. So did you crown him too? Do you love him for criticizing you and telling you the things you needed to hear? And you have to do that with happiness. Did you crown him also? So I don't know how. I think you have to put into your head, just like the Shema, in your head and your heart, that your friend is needed for you. God acts through your friend. Your friend can be your spouse also, because some say it refers to God, but some say it refers to your spouse. Love your spouse as yourself, and you have to crown your queen. If you can't crown your queen, then you will not be a king. If he answers these questions with yes, his nefesh, his soul, departs painlessly. But okay, so that's, we're speaking about the judgment in order to leave right when your soul start leaving your body, the first step. But if he answers no, then what? You get the second judgment. And the second judgment is the judgment of the grave. So what's the second phase of cleansing? Let's remember, hell is a cleansing process to be able to enter into the spiritual world. So we need to be clean from all the dirt from this world, all the negative character traits, all that. So is the judgment of the grave. The day of the grave is harsher than the judgment of hell. What's happening in the grave is more painful than the hell itself, which we're not used to here. For even the complete tzaddik who did not sin has to go through it. So if you're a complete tzaddik, and you know, meaning you have to do all the commandments, you still have to go through it, because you need to go to the next phase, and there's a transition. So everybody has to go through the transition into the spiritual, like from earth to space. You need to go through the atmosphere, and you have to go through it. But so how can a man escape the beating of the evil spirits? So kafakela it's called. Chibut hakever, sorry. Chibut hakever. The beating of the grave. He should study the Torah, again, same as before. Love justice. You should love what's right, and you should, therefore, not just love and, I love it, but do something about it. Listen to reproofs. Accept critiques when someone tells you something is wrong with you. Do a cheshbon nefesh, introspection, and work on yourself. Don't start fighting back with your ego. Give to charity. Giving to charity means you give in a way that the person feels better after you have given. It doesn't have to be money. It can be words. It can be gifts. It can be a shoulder that someone can rely on. Whatever the person needs, basically. Emotional, intellectual support. Show hospitality to scholars and guests. And pray with devotion. Thus he will save himself from the beating of the evil spirits and even avoid the judgment of hell. Now that's pretty cool. So now you know what you have to do in order to get saved from a judgment that is worse than hell, which is when your soul has to go through the grave and leave the body and go into heaven. Now let's speak about the hell. The third judgment is the judgment of hell. At the time of the judgment, the Holy One, blessed be He, asked, did you study the Torah and did you give it to charity? Okay, we see that there's a common thing for each time is study of Torah and charity. Those are like the most important. Again, remember what study of charity, giving of charity doesn't necessarily have to be money. You are a giver. And you give to the world, you enhance the world through your giving. People feel better because of you. People feel like a coach. And you give of yourself. You have stretched your comfort zone to give what people needed. And the learning of Torah. The study of Torah is important because the study of Torah has an aspect of, and that's specific to Jews, the study of Torah. However, non-Jews have to study the parts also that are for themselves. Everybody should study the Torah. Not everybody should do it, but everybody should study the Torah because Torah means instruction. Did you study my instruction? I gave you the instruction on how to be good in this world and how to fix the world. If you have read, at least you have participated into the process. You have been interested in God. You're interested in what God has to say. You're interested in what this world is about. Are you interested in God? Are you interested in the purpose of creation? So all that are important. So that's why the study of Torah is so important. And so those are two, giving Torah and giving charity. So that's what you have to do the most in your life, because then you can get saved from all those judgments. And if one studied the Torah and gave to charity, he is exempt from the judgment of hell. Blessed be the man who has an ox to its yoke and an ass to its load. A man who sits, reads, and studies the Torah each day. A man who reads the Torah, the Navi, the prophets, and the hieroglyph, which is the whole Tanakh, the whole Bible, the written Torah. The man who studies halachot, Jewish law, and midrash, the deeper interpretation of what the Torah has to say. He who engaged much in study and a little in business. Understand, it's more important to spend more time studying Torah is the main thing. Even your business is for the purpose of learning Torah. All your life is to study Torah in order to come close to God and bring good into the world. For the Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration, will rest upon him. So someone who does all that, the divine inspiration will be upon him. He has some holiness on him, and therefore he will not be judged and not affected by Gehinnom, hell, the hell, the way Jews understand it. Okay. Abba Eliyahu, the father Eliah of blessed memory, said, "I enjoin upon you heaven and earth. Enjoin upon you, upon heaven and earth. The presence of the Ruach HaKodesh is determined by, meaning the presence of divine inspiration, someone who is inspired by God, is determined by the acts of man, be he a man or woman, be he a non-Jew or a Jew, be he a servant or a maid. Blessed be the man who puts all this before his face, he who conducts his entire life in this manner, and he who keeps his organs and his body from any type of sin and iniquity. For he will receive the honor that awaits the just, the tzaddikim, and the chassidim, the righteous one, the pious one. Honor that no eye can see and no ear can perceive." Right? As it is said from Yeshayahu, "From of all no one has heard or perceived by the ear, no eye has seen a God besides you, who works for those who wait for him." So nobody knows the reward in the world to come exactly how it is. That's one of the things we have no idea. We have glimpses, we have image ideas, but we don't know. But so the reward is tremendously great. It's too great to be described. It's like you try to understand the spiritual world. You cannot understand it until you go there. You know what I mean? Like ice cream. If you want to know chocolate ice cream, the only way is to taste it. But what he said before is important, right? He concludes that doesn't matter Jewish, not Jewish. We are all the same. At the end, we have different mission. That's what differentiates us. And each one has to do his utmost to fulfill his mission. How do you find your mission? Getting to know yourself and learn the Torah. The Torah tells you what a Jew should do, what a non-Jew should do. Those are instructions on how to be better, how to work on your character traits, and have, if you're a non-Jew, have rabbis who understand the Torah properly, religious rabbis who are going to teach you the refinement of character trait, how to act in every situation. There's not one situation in your life, there's not one moment in your life where you will not know what to do. Because the Torah is a matrix made by God, a system that is made for us to be able to, through the script, to find out what's the proper way to act, what's the will of God in any possible situation. And that's the beauty. That's why we know it's divine. We have known how to act for the past 3,000 years, and now even with our modern technology and modern life, we still use the Torah to find out how to act in every situation. So make sure you learn Torah from the right source, and God willing, remember two things in your life, two most important. Learn Torah, find out your mission, do your mission, use your talents, and come close to God, obviously, and work on doing charity, on being a chesed, expand your giving, stretch the good that you have and give it to everyone. Everyone should benefit from you. Everybody who meets you should live with the feeling that he was given something that he didn't have before he came to you. The definition of chesed is you do an act that makes the person feel more loved or more one with you or the world or with God. So may we all be able to achieve that level, and may we, all of us, escape all the judgment from when we die, from the grave and from hell. God willing. Baruch Adonai L'olam. Amen v'amen.